Okay, hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. If you are missing a seat, we can move some stuff and make sure that you can sit somewhere. So welcome to this session about the European Bauhaus. My name is Clémentine Poujard from European Innovation. It's a French consultancy company. We are specialized in innovation management, and we've been involved in research and development projects for the built environment for 2 decades now. Very quickly, so are some of you absolutely unfamiliar with the European Bauhaus? You can? No? All right. So if we try to synthesize the European Bauhaus in one sentence, we could say that it's about rethinking the spaces that we are living in a way where we cross different disciplines from art to engineering and social sciences, and with the perspective of empowering citizens and communities. The motto of the European Bauhaus is sustainable, inclusive, and beautiful. Sustainable, I think all of you know. Of course, it's about energy efficiency, resource efficiency, renewables, circular economy, local synergy, symbiosis, industrial symbiosis. I think you all master that topic very clearly. Inclusive is about considering and engaging all types of stakeholders from the project inception phase to the implementation, but also on the governance on the long term. So it's about participatory approaches where you will involve and engage with a lot of different people. And that's one of the topics that we will discuss quite a lot today. And beautiful is, of course, about aesthetics, but also more than that, it's about quality of experience. So it can be comfort, it can be health, more generally lifestyle. So that's it for the introduction about the European Bauhaus. Regarding this session of 1 hour and a half, it's organized by 2 coordination and support actions, Star Track and Net Junction, that I'm representing here and that I will introduce very briefly. And the objective is really to exchange about our respective experiences in projects, particular R&D projects, on how we try to integrate or implement the European Bauhaus in our respective schemes. We organize the session in 2 parts. There will be a series of flash presentations. It should be around 5 minutes each. And then we will have a time for discussion about all of our projects and discuss what works and what doesn't work so well and what can we draw from that. So the 2 support actions. A few words. Star Track, first one. Star Track is a coordination action that is in direct support to the Build for People partnership with a focus on clusters. So the idea is really to connect and network different local construction ecosystem across Europe. And in that project, I'm facilitating a network of NEB advisors. So here the idea again is peer learning, sharing of opportunities. If you're interested, come to me and we can discuss that further. A very large consortium that I cannot detail now. And the second project is Net Junction. So that's the project that will set up the hub for NEB results and impacts. If you have seen the calls for the NEB facility in November, they all refer to that NEB hub, so that's the project. 3 main objectives: connect people, so engage the whole community, try to link all these NEB projects together, be a common platform, but also share the results of these projects, and then make some analysis and guidance for the next steps and possibly the next work programs and funding program. In that, on my side, I'm more engaged in the knowledge sharing. It means that if you have nice results that you would like to share in connection to the Bauhaus, you can also come to me and we can discuss and see how to promote and disseminate this. Okay, about the project presentation that you will see in the first part of this session, quite a lot, but they will be quite aggregated. You can see that they cover quite different scales, from the material level with the Inguma project to the building scale with Timber House, Aegir, Woodstock, and also the Indoor Air Quality Society. And then we have some projects that are more focused on the district, neighborhood, or even city scale with DROP, the Ginger and Region project that are sister projects related to regeneration, and the European Bauhaus Academy. So here is the list of presentations. We will start with Michael. that will tell us about the visualization tool that helps professionals and communities better understand the issue related to indoor air quality. Then we will continue with Chiara Fonio from Icons that will tell us about two projects, Timber House and Ginger. We will continue with Sylvia Oura from Technalia that she will tell us about the drug project that she's coordinating and that comes to an end. Then Florence will have a very educated presentation about 4 projects in Boomer, Woodstock, Mega Academy, and A-Gear. And we will conclude with Derrida that will present a specific tool from the region project. And I will leave the floor to Mike.
Thank you.
Before I do that, I need to load your presentation.
Yeah, and while you're loading the presentation, so thank you for letting me present, of course. And I'm so happy that we start in the right place, in the inside of the building, the purpose where we actually live. So I will focus around indoor air quality, and just shortly start to talk based on the presentation. I can introduce myself during the time. My name is Mikael Börjesson. I work as a Director of Future Solution and Public Affairs at Sweden Group, but we are also a member of IQS, and I'm standing here and representing IQS in this sense. And we sharing the main task to highlight the kind of inner climate, the surrounding where we actually spend our days. And during this presentation, I will bring topics up that we have talked a lot about in the Air Quality Society, where and if you don't know IQS is a society gathering experts within research and the expertise of field of indoor climate for buildings, and it's a non-profit organization based in Belgium. So my take is from the sustainable places part, the headline for the total conference, and as I said, I will try to highlight the indoor climate quality. And do that is quite tricky because we're talking about something that's very invisible and untouchable for the most people of us. So I've chosen an application. I will talk about children, I will talk about schools. And when I do that, I will highlight a project that has a very strong influence from the European Bauhaus philosophy. Starting by the invisible, we normally talk, when we talk about sustainability, sustainable places, sustainable building, we talk about energy efficiency, how we can reduce energy consumption, etc. We talk about operational carbon. Luckily, we also start to talk about building carbon, the resource efficiency we have, and what we can do on that side as well to reduce the climate footprint for technical installations. But what we like to do is also balance that to what the purpose is for the technical installations, the indoor climate, the indoor environment. And that balance needs to be there all the time. And I'm so happy that I see in the new EPBD that we have taken steps towards that kind of balancing of the two purposes. So giving some example, why is indoor climate important? Why do we need to put emphasis on the indoor climate? As I said, I will just give some examples from a school part on the school research to get ground out for why we need to talk about this. I will not bring up everything, but we know that indoor air and ventilation rates all really affects our human bodies. If we look into the children, they will be affected even more due to the use of air is more impactful. And we know that directly connected to temperature and CO2 levels, we see performances. It will be for us as well in this room, but it will definitely be for the children that we have in schools and kindergartens all over the world. We know that temperature has a huge impact. There's a lot of research already showing this. So why shouldn't we consider this in legislation, policies, etc.? I will just highlight one of these studies that was done in US that says in a very high indoor climate condition versus a moderate indoor climate condition regarding temperature, you see huge differences how exams is complied, and you got the results in failing in a lot bigger scale. We also see that CO2 levels has a huge impact. CO2 level is high to define in a room. You can feel it uncomfortable, but you cannot really detect it. And we know it connects to concentration. We already also know that high concentration of CO2 for a long time will cause mental illness. So and you know, and I know that we have an encourage or a higher level of mental illness by young persons today. Maybe one of the keys is here. We know that when we increase ventilations, we got a higher percentage rate on exams. Absenteeism, we know it has a correlation. A bad indoor climate will raise the absenteeism for schools and kindergartens. All these things we know, but we don't really act on it in reality. The project I would like to talk to is a Swedish project in Arvika municipality. The municipality already from the beginning say we will build a new second grade school. It should be a school for everyone to succeed. We will do our best to do a school that really are getting to the right bottom. They, together with the municipality, together with teachers, headmasters, added a test bed for IoT. So we put a lot of sensors into the schools, measuring acoustics, measuring sound, light, heat, CO2 levels, trying to visualize the invisible as a tool for giving a good conditions for the students. So what you see on the screen is one way of visualize the invisible. This is a tool for headmasters, teachers, facility managers to rescheduling the days and the week for the students to find the right conditions for learning and to be at their best every time in just this application. So what I would say is that we know healthy air and healthy minds goes together. We need to protect the health, we need to boost the learnings, and we need to invest wisely, which means that legislation and policies need to address this question. We need to put demands on the indoor climate as well as we do on the climate footprint as well. So incentives need to be shared, success stories need to be shared along member states, along professionals, and we need to understand how to prioritize resources, especially for our children. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. It's about 5 minutes exactly. That's what I'm impressed.
Yeah, putting pressure on the rest now.
Now I'm going to load Kara's presentation.
Good morning, everyone. So I will have to cover 2 projects in 5 minutes, but I guess that you you will have to do better than myself with 4 projects. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Chiara Fonio from Icons. I'm the head of social innovation there. Icons is a non-profit organization mainly focused on 3 areas: communication and dissemination, social innovation, and business innovation. So what I'm going to do today is to focus on 2 European projects, as Clementino already said, Ginger Project and Timber House. With these 2 projects are at very different stages of development. So I can get into more details if you want. If you have questions during the coffee break, I will be, or in the group discussion, I will be happy to provide more information. But we are talking about projects which are mainly focused on the built environment. One, for the Timber House, Ginger is more focused on the regeneration of neighborhood. And for Timber House, there are it's a NEB project. While Ginger is not considered as a NEB project as such, but there are a lot of interconnections with the NEB values, as you will see in a moment. So let's start with Timber House and the NEB values. So what are the links with the NEB values as far as this project is concerned? So as far as sustainability, Timber House revolves around the use of wood and of timber, and especially the use of underutilized wood species. It is focused on the decarbonization strategies of building. It relates with the inclusivity of the NEB values because it's based with a focus on 3 main partner cities. One is Baia Mare, which is in Romania, Berlin, and Siena. And the methodology which is used in this project is the co-creation methodology through strategy games, but also through the active involvement of the local communities. It has started 1 year ago, so I cannot really present findings at this stage, but I can definitely present the core values and the core principles which are applied in the project. Also, the beautiful dimension is very important for this project because what it makes Timber House relevant, very relevant for the NEB framework is the reliance on the vernacular tradition, which means that the culture is really taking into account, and also not only, the co-creation methodology, which is normally used in a project, but really the vernacular traditions at a local level, which are embedded at the pilot site. Well, this is something that I already covered. What I did not say is that this project is led by DTI. And as I said, it started in November 2024. So again, this point here is very important. The integration of cultural and craft design languages, which is exactly the vernacular dimension that I was referring to before. So what I will cover here very quickly, because then I have to talk a little bit about Ginger as well, is what does it mean, the vernacular dimension, what does it entail in the context of Baia Mare in Romania? In this region, the historical significance of forest is very prominent, is very important. And there is a strong history of craftsmen working in woodworking. So all these local traditions are taken into account in the context of the project, and the pilot in Romania actually tried to connect, also because architects are involved in this project, all the local traditions which are already in that context. 1 minute to go, so I have to run. I think I will skip Berlin and I will focus on Ginger because I have 1 minute for this project. So Ginger is a bit different from Timber House. It's not about the use of one material, so it's not about the use of wood, but it's about the regeneration of neighborhood. Regeneration of neighborhood through what? Through regeneration actions revolving around some key dimensions such as energy, mobility, and resources. For Ginger, there are some key figures that I would like to present you. The co-creation methodology first, because I'm personally involved in the development of the co-creation methodology, so that people at a local level in 6 different pilot sites around Europe can be involved in the regeneration. There are 13 digital solutions, 21 regeneration actions, and almost 1,000 of people involved in the 6 European cities. The co-creation methodology of this project is quite interesting because it starts from the co-assessment, meaning that the people are really involved in the assessment of the needs at a neighborhood level. But it goes from the co-assessment up until the end, up until the co-learning. So meaning that in the pilot sites and in the neighborhoods, people are also involved in understanding what has been done and what went right and what went wrong during the implementation of the co-creation methodology. So as I said, 5 minutes for 2 projects is really nothing. So if you want to know more, I'm happy to provide more information, of course, but here you can find the link to the websites. 5 minutes, right?
Anyway, we will have a round of questions after the set of presentations, and indeed there is time for discussion afterwards. So I hope speakers don't feel too frustrated. Now, Sylvia, we are going to continue with Sylvia.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to our workshop. I'm Silvia Urra, I come from Tecnalia. I am the technical coordinator of this project because the coordination is in charge of one municipality, what is not very usual, but in this case it is. Our project is called DROP, There is digitally enabled social district renovation processes for age-friendly environments, driving social innovation and local economic development. But that is like the official title, because we always say that it is about putting the residents at the heart of social district regeneration. It was funded under this call that was Social and Affordable Housing District Demonstrator. It started 3 years ago. We were supposed to finalize in September, but we got an extension of 3 months until December because we will have an ongoing activity that needs to be finalized. So it's quite a small project with 10 partners, and we have like 1 pilot city and 2 peer cities. The pilot city is the city of Ermua in the north of Spain, in the Basque Country, who is the coordinator and has a small consortium. And then we have a city in Estonia and another one in Italy. You can see that Estonia, you know, is a country that is well known because of its digitalization, let's say. And in the case of Matera is a city that is well known because of the cultural heritage and the cultural values. So the involvement of these 2 cities in the process is because we wanted to learn how we could digitalize this process of district renovation, and also how we could implement cultural and arts in these processes. So Clementine asked us to replay how these projects were replayed into these 3 domains of the NEP. So I would say that DROP is sustainable because it wants to transform these districts into inclusive, smart neighborhoods, focus also in energy efficiency and in sustainability, not just from the environmental point of view, but also from the economic point of view, from the local economic development of these neighborhoods. It is inclusive because, of course, as the same as Kiara has said, we have a co-governance process that wants to make sustainable this engagement and this co-creation and participation of the neighbors. And it is beautiful because we have put quite a lot of effort in the improvement of the urban spaces of the neighborhood, because we think that, at least in our culture, the urban space is a place to establish social connection and to empower the belonging sense of the citizens. So I am going to explain now what we have done, because we are at the end of the project, so we have real results of the things that have been done. This is the neighborhood of Santana in Ermua. It is covering this block. You can see here they have the same typology. It was built in the 60s because in Spain, in the north of Spain, there was a very big industrial explosion. So a lot of people came from other parts of Spain, and there was a need to construct very quickly. So the construction of that years, like in other European countries, has very low quality. It has a lot of problems of accessibility. They don't have elevators. Energy efficiency is quite awful, I would say, and the public spaces have very, very low quality. So in this co-governance and co-creation methodology, we did more or less well, we are not inventing anything. I mean, we are all more or less doing the same things in the co-creation, but we try to engage the citizens first, then to co-create with them, then to test how these structures we were building were functioning, and then to evaluate the results. Going to the real, let's say, to the implementation in the case of Ermua, what we did first was to make a diagnosis of the neighborhood from all different points of view. So socioeconomic, building point of view, urban spaces, but also like local businesses and different profiles of people. Then we develop a vision with them, like, how would you like to see your neighborhood in 2035? And then if you want to achieve that vision, what do you think you need to do for that? What are the actions you want to take? Then we prioritize the actions because, of course, European projects are not infinite, so the budget is limited. And then we co-created the actions with them. So from these actions, some of them, of course, were already like assigned by the call. And we work on the neighborhood office. We created a mapathon with a digital tool. We created an energy community, and we created a capacity building process with a training course for building retrofitting. And there were the other actions that were prioritized by residents, as well as tactical urbanism square. A mural was painted by a local artist. Also, we have an architecture competition to define a new design for an urban space. We have community connections. We also work in health services for aging population, focus on digital gadgets. And also we were trying to recover the day of the neighborhood that was existing before. So as I don't have many time, well, this is like the example of the neighborhood office. This is the example of the energy community that has 45 private dwellings, 3 local businesses, and the local school in the energy community that now is, let's say, it's pushed by the local administration, but the objective is that it's self-maintained in the future. We have this Mapathon, that is a digital tool that was developed with the neighbors in order to diagnose the status of the public spaces of the neighborhood, and as a result, some places were identified, and a tactical urbanism process was done in a place where 3 cars were parked normally, and now it's a public space. And then we have also a mural and a competition for the refurbishment of 1 square. We have 130 neighbors involved and 10 actions implemented. And we have shared our results with the 2 sister projects that are ProLight and SuperSign, and we identify different barriers that we are all facing, because when we talk about co-creation and participation, it's not just that people doesn't want to participate sometimes, but also public administration is very cautious about co-creation, because if you promise or you ask something, you are supposed to do something back. So I think that is one of the main barriers that we have to overcome. And well, I am open for questions. If you want more information, the project is practically finished. All the information is there. Most of the deliverables are uploaded in the webpage, and there are some videos also. So yes.
Thank you, Sylvia, for a very dense presentation of results.
Yeah, 5 minutes is nothing.
Let's see how I manage.
No,
With
so
4
good
projects.
morning. 4 projects, yes, but I will not go into detail of the 4 projects, of course. I really wanted to focus on the tools that we use to implement the NEP principles in those projects. So the projects are from materials to education, but let me introduce myself first. I'm Florence Kell. I'm communication manager at InnovaWood. We are a network. We are representing the wood science, technology, and innovation and education sector. And so we are involved as a communication destination leader or stakeholders engagement partner in those 4 projects. Inguma is working on material innovation, Woodstock on participatory design. In Aegir, we are implementing the NEP principles in demonstrator buildings over Europe. And new European Bauhaus is about education and skills development. So in Inguma, we are integrating the NEP values into the innovation process. In this project, we are developing bio-based materials, and the center process is innovation. How do we create new products? But then around that, we really implemented the co-creation design and the co-creation process, as well as social engagement. So there is continuous interaction between those 3 processes. You have the baseline, science, and then it goes around. What is special here is that this is the first project in which there is a co-creation or research project in which there's a real work package around co-creation. That is the NEP co-creation part. I will not go into further details because I don't have much time. Second project, Woodstock. Underutilized wood again. So we are trying to promote sustainable and inclusive wood construction here, and we are using the Living Lab approach. There are 6 living labs all over Europe. You can see it here on the map. And in fact, they offer a dynamic space for co-creation on site with the inhabitants. Each of the 6 living labs run co-creation sessions that are detailed here. Again, if you want further details, we can discuss it afterwards. So the idea is really to brainstorm with the inhabitants, with those who will live there, but also at an earlier stage, go into detail about where do they want to go to get the achievement right. For Aegir, we are developing a modular and renewable industrialized facade, a building envelope that we use for renovation purposes. And we have 4 demo buildings.
the question here is how to improve the alignment with the people who live there. So in this experience, we have seen that if in one demo site there's limited engagement with the inhabitants, well, then we need to ensure that there is local acceptance. So we need to involve more inhabitants and help align the technical part with the real community needs. So co-creation and participation, co-design really fosters this. And finally, so the new European Bauhaus Academy, where we are implementing education on bio-based tools, on bio-based trainings, to get it into the sector, because everything starts with knowledge. If workers don't know how to use the Inguma, for instance, bio-based materials, then they won't use it. So how do we do that? So we had, for instance, one open call for grants. That means that the NEP Academy financed some trainings to help to support it. And 10 initiatives were selected. You have their logos here. That is the first tool that we used. The second tool, these are some examples. The second tool that we use is a platform on which we put all those trainings available. That goes through an approval process, of course, where we have a community helping to foster and to put into this platform the trainings, but also to implement them and make sure that they are good, that the quality is enough. Very good. So if we go back to this first slide, material innovation, wood, participatory design, real-life implementation in demonstrator buildings, and knowledge transfer, then you get the tools driving the NEP implementation in those 4 projects. So the first one is really the NEP principles and actions that you can see on the right side. So including aesthetics, of course, because if it's not beautiful, then people will perhaps accept it less. Including inclusion, how do you think about it with co-creation? Make sure that everybody is involved. And the environment, of course, is the sustainability action is really important. Promoting co-creation, circular economy, but also demonstrate, at least for instance for AGEAR, we really demonstrate the need for an early engagement in the project, so that afterwards everything is fine and we don't get into trouble. And then, yeah, of course, the NEP Academy, fostering inclusive and sustainable mindset in the sector, but at an early stage for education. Thank you.
Thank you, girls.
5 minutes?
Almost. No, I'm impressed really by your mastering of the time. And we will conclude this round of presentation with Daria, who will tell us about the Regen project and the specific tool that they have used and adapted. Daria, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Daria from Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology. I work in Sustainable Urban and Built Environment Group, and in our group, we are offering a range of products and services to support sustainable urban design and also sustainable building design. Today, I'm going to present our Horizon Europe funded project Regen, and especially I will focus on a tool that we currently use, that we are going to use in our project. It's a participatory urban design tool. It's called MUST, and MUST stands for Manage Urban Spaces Together. First of all, I would like to give a brief introduction about our project Regen. We are coordinating Regen project, and it started last year in January, and it's a 4-year project. And in Regen, we are relying on those 4-pillar approach to achieve a more sustainable, resilient, and inclusive neighborhood regeneration. So we are developing sustainability assessment framework. We are using a wide range of digital technologies. And we have neighborhood regeneration offices where we address a wide range of stakeholders. And then we are deploying socio-ecological enablers in a variety of fields like circularity, energy, mobility, and so on. And on the right-hand side, you see our toolbox. So in the center, you see MUST, which we will be using for participatory design. And we have also some other tools that is supporting other neighborhood regeneration actions like digital deconstruction platform and benefits for nature-based solutions, IS for urban digital twin, and Dynacon for people, vehicle counting, and so on. And how Regen supports a new European Bauhaus principles. When we consider sustainability in Regen, we are deploying a catalog of neighborhood regeneration interventions that is covering topics like energy efficiency, circularity, mobility, green spaces, and so on. And regarding inclusivity, our solutions are complemented by different participatory design approaches and living labs. And when it comes to beautiful, we are developing these tools and using different methods to gather the needs of the citizens for a specific neighborhood. So in this way, the quality of life of the neighborhoods and the historical and cultural value of their place can be enhanced. Why public participation? When we look at literature, we see a variety of advantages on integration, on integrating citizen engagement in urban planning processes. In addition to making cities more inclusive, sustainable, safe, and resilient, also integrating citizens in the planning processes also increases user satisfaction in design solutions. And also it enhances citizen education, it increases their awareness and engagement. And here the tool that we use most was developed a few years ago by our team. Sorry. Here you see a short video of the tool. So we'll use this tool on a tangible table. As you see, we have different tangible objects, and there are some QR codes under these tangible objects, and each of these objects contain a different information. And we are displaying a variety of maps using, for instance, GeoPortal, in this case in Luxembourg. And what we will do in Regen, actually we will adapt now our software to the needs of our demo sites. And we have 4 different demo sites: Laredo in Spain, Bakerish in Luxembourg, Dublin in Ireland, and Milan in Italy. And what we do in this software adaptation process, first of all, we started looking at the neighborhood regeneration interventions. Each demo site has a different context and different needs, and so the interventions that will be applied are different. I will continue very quickly. So first of all, we started with looking at which interventions will be implemented in the demo sites. In this case, in Laredo, Laredo demo sites focused on the mobility and transport aspects of the city. Here is the neighborhood regeneration offices approaches that we use in our project. So we use one-stop shops, third places, and neighborhood regeneration offices where we will use our tangible table. And here is one of the demo sites. Laredo, it's a tourist destination, an old town, and it has a complex topography that is creating an isolation in some parts of the cities, and especially for older generation and people with reduced the mobility, it's creating some difficulties. So when we update our tool, we follow this UX design process that consists of 5 stages. So here our main goal was, when we work with our project partners, we wanted them to emphasize with the citizens. So we suggested working with different personas. And for instance, we worked with 5 different personas. In the first persona, we created a person who works in the municipality, so we could also emphasize with the perspective from someone who is working more on the regularity aspects. On the other side, we have those other citizens from different age groups, like senior and adult and children as well. So I will make it as quick as possible. So in the project, we worked in this personas, so the project partners could understand the frustrations, motivations, and the objectives of different citizens living in this city. So here is the platform that we use for brainstorming sessions. As you see, we have the different personas, and then with our project partners, we organize different interviews, workshops to see how we can renew the existing functionalities of our tool. And we focused on those 3 different functionalities where the pedestrian mobility can be enhanced. And so our partners suggested to also assign specific interventions. So the citizens, when they use the tool, they could suggest new interventions in the area, and also they could map their subjective sensations in a specific location in the city. And here you see an adaptation that we still work on this tool. So here you will see those different profiles. For instance, a person with wheelchair, we are using this tangible object, so you see different menus. So the user can just drag and drop the interventions that is needed in a specific street. And our next steps will be testing our tool in neighborhood regeneration offices, experimenting it with the citizens, and then transforming and improving our tool after gathering their feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daria. All right, thank you, thank you. So it's quite a lot of information. Presentations are over. Do you have questions to our speakers? Yes, please.
Just to show that I listened to the first presentation, can we open something?
The door, I actually opened the door at the beginning. But that's, yeah. I was wondering
I'm
about
already
indoor air quality.
feeling the CO2 levels go up and me
I
slipping
should have
down.
my measurement with me. That would be interesting. Yeah, we're still sharing.
Beyond that one, do you have question of on the content of the presentation? We can take 5 minutes to answer some specifics. Please, go on.
I have another question.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Alexander Delianis from Synpraxis. They present here 2 projects, Open Lab, which is presenting today at 2 o'clock, and Petvolution, which is presenting tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So both on positive energy in neighborhoods and districts. But my question is completely unrelated to that, and it has to do actually with, I think, 2 of the presentations. So one was one of the 4 projects of Florence, and then another question is how you pronounce your surname, but that's related.
I can answer
So
that.
if you can say a little bit more about this image that you showed with the drops, which I found fantastic for presentation, with the various the drop project.
Drop is
Sorry, apologies. Okay, so there were so many projects there that I confused them. So if you can say a little bit more about that, I mean, what the drops represent. And the other question is the last presentation with the with this tool that you showed. So both, I think, are fantastic examples of showing things, putting quite a lot of information in a relatively small space, and I just wanted to hear a little bit more about that, if you know.
Yeah, you mean this slide?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Okay.
Should I share it again? It was in your presentation, right?
Yeah,
I would like to find it. Wait.
Well, this slide was the result of, we have our final event in June. So we have had like a quite good relation with our sister projects because we were under the same call, so we were focusing on the same objectives. And we invited them to share our final results. And we had this session with them also because we wanted to know which were the main barriers they have found during their projects, because of course, if the objectives are similar, probably the barriers have been similar. So it was like a kind of naive representation of those rocks you can find in the river that don't allow you really to go on, and how we wanted to put that rocks that could help us to move forward. So the barriers were like public administration fear to public participation, the lack of trust and experience of citizens in participatory projects. It's not just sometimes that they don't want to participate, they don't know how to participate. And also managing expectations, where we said you cannot ask people if they want, I don't know, an aqua park and then tell them they are going to have nothing, like really you need to be very clear on what you are going to be able to do. And then some of the solutions that we found among the 3 projects that could be solving these barriers, like making all parties aware of the benefits and the impacts having internal channels also inside the municipalities, because sometimes public servants find themselves forced to processes that they are not even aware of. So having the encouraged to go through the process for politicians, for example, and setting realistic ambitions, so really knowing what is going to be possible to do. And as we have done the project in these 3 steps, like the beginning, the planning, and the execution, we found barriers and, let's say, our small solutions in the 3 steps. That is why we planned this slide like this. Anyways, if you want the presentations, I think that probably we can share them.
I suppose that all presentations will be available in the end. And anyway, Sylvia is available for any more questions at the coffee break or in some next sessions. Thank you. Then we go on with Daria.
Could you repeat your question?
Can you summarize a little bit what was available as information in this table you showed with the solutions that people could move around, let's say? Did it really, were they real scenarios? Was it completely imaginative? Were they real scenarios of the kind of interventions that could happen?
Yes, they are real scenarios. First of all, can we maybe go back to slide 3 or 4?
This one.
Yes.
Yes.
Here you see our tangible table. So this is the first version of the software. Maybe we can also run the video recording. So this version of the software was not tested, but so the version that I presented at the end were developed after we had this the several workshops with our project partners. So this is developed based on those personas, and our project partners worked on the persona. So in each demo site, the contacts are different, and the citizen profiles can be different. So they created at least five different personas, and some of them made interviews on site with the people, and some others used some fictitious characters. And since they know the context of the neighborhood better, to be as realistic as possible, so they were trying to emphasize what kind of needs they might have. So based on that, and since we know what type of interventions will be applied by the municipality in the future, our partners asked us to focus on specific interventions and then functionalities. And in the latest version, for instance, then we created those different personas, profiles representing, for instance, someone with a wheelchair or a visual impairment and so on. So we have those different people. We will organize the workshops. So based on the availability of different profiles, like different tangible objects will be chosen. And since the municipality in Laredo is planning those mobility interventions, and based on the feedbacks gathered from the citizens, this information will be shared with the municipality at the end, so they can consider that in future implementations.
Thank you, Daria. And I've seen the table at the NEP Festival, and it's incredibly attractive. Everybody's coming to test it and manipulate it. It's fantastic, really. We have a bit more time. Yes, please, go on.
Thank you. Hello, I'm sorry, my name is Fatana, and I'm from University of Côte d'Azur in Nice, but here representing Inbuild projects. My question, and I apologize if you couldn't catch your name from IAQS, indoor air quality.
Michael.
Sorry. So you mentioned that your project or your society works on like primary schools. I wonder if you also work on other type of schools like university or stuff. And also, could you elaborate on how you quantify the indoor air quality? I know that you work with Internet of Things, right, collecting data, but in terms of thermal comfort, what methodology standards are you using? I'm happy to connect outdoor, like over coffee break, but if you can elaborate, yeah.
I can elaborate quickly. Yes, of course, we work. I mean, this is a digitalization journey in many ways, collecting data to share and to utilize it, and we do it everything from kindergartens to universities. This example is unique because they're the government, the municipality already from the start says we would like to create the best possible situation for our students. So they already from the beginning have a society planning. They put the schools in a very in an area where it's suitable. But I think the brilliant thing about this project isn't the technical installation itself. It's the use of the data that actually got out, because that is often missing. We have a lot of data in a lot of places, but we have very few people who can actually draw the conclusions and take decisions based on the data. And here they have put a lot of effort into that kind of knowledge. For, I mean, a teacher and headmaster is not the expert on indoor climate normally, but taught and guided, they will know how to act. So this is more a kind of a journey regarding how you act and how you define the potential that you can actually find it when you visualize the invisible. So it's a combination of technology, digitalization, but also a kind of acting methodology. So that is probably the uniqueness in this kind of project. But I'm happy to share more thoughts about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
One more question on the presentations? No? All right, then we propose for the next half hour, first of all, we will ask you a bit of questions to know who you are so we can gather information about on which project you're working, what's your profile. So you will have to, work with your phone. And then we intend to work on the following question. Let me find them. Here it is. So we would like to have a round table for, let's say, 20 minutes, 25, on the first three questions. So which are the methods and tools that you use to integrate the NEP values in your own project? Which of the three NEP values did you find or do you find more difficult to implement? We have some ideas on that, but we would like to hear about yours. And which concrete benefits did you get from integrating these NEP values? Finally, what challenges did you meet and how did you solve them? Or maybe some of them you didn't solve, and that's also interesting. So this for a roundtable. Then for the last part of the session, we would like to have you write down on that nice sticky notes about two aspects. What are you most proud of? We would like to have some takeaways on very successful examples, to collect them and have some material to think about. And what would be your recommendations? Are you able to write some do's and don'ts for the next R&D project? So we will have two words, maybe we'll have another one here, and you can come and paste your ideas, and we will collect that, and hopefully we can produce a short synthesis about that. That's why we will ask if you want to share your email address so that we can share the results with you, but no obligation. So I will let Florence launch.
Because we know now you know a little bit about us, but we would like to know a little bit about you. Okay. There we go. It will be really short, but if you can connect to the Mentimeter, we will have some question. I think we know each other a little bit. I think you don't have to do it. It's really interesting for us to know who is in the room. You will say some questions about your sector. Okay, all set? Everybody achieved it? Yes? No? Not yet? Because when I go to the next slide, then people cannot connect anymore. Just have to wait for 1 sec. Yes? All good? Okay. There we go. So where are you from? There we go. So we already have 3 from Germany.
The Italians have to have 3 areas. One is not enough.
I think I need to connect because it's very few from the Nordics.
Okay, so
But a lot of people want to move there.
still 3 people didn't answer the question. Okay, let's move to the next question. 25, there we go. Thank you for your answers. So in what sector do you currently work? It's a more basic sector, it's also interesting to know. Only construction, only organization?
You have to define yourself. What is your sector?
But when I don't know.
No, I don't think We'll ask afterwards. Research. How do I go down?
Someone did not comply with the 3 words. Okay, no big surprise here.
No. Thank you. What is your profession? What is your role in your organization?
Okay.
You should Okay. It's also to assess if you're more on the technical side, on the management side, on
The proposal side.
yeah, on the proposal side.
Yeah, go for trades.
Proposal writer, engineer, that sort of thing. Okay. Innovation manager, head of European projects. I'll wait 2 seconds more. Thank you for that. I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. Sorry.
You did a competition, a quiz.
I don't know. I don't know what that
was.
was.
The previous question, yeah, that's the one we changed, you know.
Okay,
We
so
can ask.
this is a game. I don't know what game it is, but let's skip it.
The question was, which project are you representing?
Oh, that's it.
Maybe you can take a post-it. So just same, so that we know who is in the room and which project are contributing. So if you can just put the name of the project on a post-it and leave it on the table, so that we have a trace of that, that would do the job. You can write, fine. Okay,
Yeah,
which one is? I don't know. Why is this your illustration? That is the.
Okay, let's if you can write, let's see what is. How is
I was surprised, like, oh, God, that's
Very nice. It was a game,
innovative.
but perhaps it will work. I don't know.
No, maybe not.
No?
It's a name.
No, okay.
So please just take a sticky note.
Yeah, perhaps after entering your email, if you want to be in the loop,
So this synthesis I was talking about, if you are interested to get some news, if we are able to produce some synthesis of this, the coming discussion, you can leave your email address and you can also, if possible, add the. You say West,
Yes,
yes?
yes will not be very useful.
Yeah, please leave the
Yes, we'll
email
get a lot
address.
of
It's
mail.
very positive, but
I don't know.
No, it's too late, it's sorry. But you can contribute in the next minute, for sure.
so if you want to get in the loop in the last question, please leave your email and we will. Yeah, right. On a post-it. And then if you're representing a project, please write it down on a post-it and we can put it on that wall there. On this wall here.
the pillar.
The pillar, okay, perfect, the pillar of projects, okay? Thank you, that's perfect. Okay, and now we would like to hear about your own experience. So we propose to have around 20 minutes on the first questions, round table, so feel free to express and discuss some elements. And for the last quarter of an hour, okay, so 10 minutes, then you can take some more sticky notes and contribute in terms of do's and don'ts. What would be your recommendation for the next R&D project to integrate some net values? And on the other wall over there, you have what are you most proud of in your project. So the idea is to collect some nice success stories, or at least what works. So while you are pasting your projects, who would like to start? So you can either comment on one of these questions. So which are the methods or tools that you used in your own project to integrate the NEB? Or what of the NEB values among sustainability, inclusiveness, and beauty do you find most difficult to address? Maybe we can start with these two ones.
I think we can answer the second question to start today.
Okay.
Which of the three net values do you find more difficult to implement?
Okay, so if you're shy, we can start with our speakers. I'm sure they can testify on that or comment. Sylvia would like to
Arnaud
start.
wants to start.
Arnaud, yes, please, thank you.
Go.
So I'm Arnaud J from CA, and I'm representing Easy Zero project, which develops some bio-based materials and components, and also EGA project that Florence is present. I think for me, the more difficult is inclusiveness, because I'm a research engineer in energy efficiency. So take care about the people living inside. We know that it's quite important, but it's also quite difficult. So yes, as a researcher, we try to test our development with like a few panels or in our lab with our colleagues, but it's like the first steps. So then go to the next step is, I think, the most difficult. And another one which is quite difficult is to marry the efficiency and the beautifulness. And you need to start with beautiful or with efficiency. That's part of the problem we get in our problem or challenge we get in EGA project, I think. Because you need to start by one and then the other one try to adapt or to the co-creation is something quite challenging.
Thank you. On the inclusiveness, I would like to comment on some of what you presented, Sylvia. So we are also part with Arnaud in the Calèche project, which is about renovation of historic buildings. And we have these pilot sites, and we really had this question of, it was about buildings that have no use, that are a bit abandoned, no purpose for the moment and no planning. And it was difficult to organize local workshops because the local authorities were very cautious about raising some expectations and hopes in the local population and not be able to follow with that because there was no funding for rehabilitating the building. The funding was on the research project on how to proceed, what would be an integrated renovation process, taking account the historical aspect and so on. And we kind of struggled with that. You identified it as a barrier. Did you find some solutions or way to manage that?
In our case, in the case of Fermoa, there was no money for building retrofitting, and it was private property. So, as you know, in the previous programs, there was money for building retrofitting. So there were some neighborhoods close to this one that were inside another European project, and they got money to retrofit their homes. So we had to manage with those expectations because people was coming thinking that they were going to get like 50% of the money from the European Commission. So our first slide everywhere was like what the project is going to cover and what is not going to cover. And we had like a cross, like building retrofitting, no. Money for home adaptation, no. Like being very clear. It sounds like a bit too straightforward, but well, you know, Basque people is quite straightforward, so we all understand that. And it was okay because people had a clear idea that they were not going to get money. They didn't ask again, never, like, when are we going to get money for our buildings? So I think that to be very clear from the beginning, even if it sounds a bit like rude, yeah, it works.
Right. If I may also comment on that, I completely agree with you. I think that expectation management is really the first thing that should be done because people really, sometimes they speak a different languages, meaning not a different language, but they do have, it's difficult for the layperson to understand the concepts which are often framed along academic tones in proposals and in projects. So for them, it's very difficult to understand what we are doing. And managing the expectations is key to get them involved. Otherwise, so I think that this is the right way to go and the right approach.
Yes. So, hello. My name is Marina Stepovic. I'm involved in a few European projects. At the moment, these are Easy Zero, Snug, and Inbuilt. And I think all three have similar issue concerning NEB values, and it's well-being of installers and also inhabitants in the demo buildings. When we talk about installers, it's related to the dangerous substances because they are usually not studied enough. So I think this field should be more studied in the European projects, all integrated in the beginning, in development phase, that we know what we can expect. Also concerning safety for the installers. And the second one is well-being of inhabitants. It means it's very difficult to monitor the buildings during some longer lifespan, I think a few years, because once it's end of the project, and I think it would be good to see what happens with this building, where we install maybe some new materials after 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a recurring problem. We don't have really a solution, and the Commission has not invented the tool that could help on that. That's
it would be nice to have some small post funding.
Yes, follow up of something. Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
I wanted to say that regarding the net values, I think that the one that is less understood is beautiful. Because, for example, in the neighborhood in Santana, in Ermua, the neighborhood is not beautiful. It's what you will never define as beautiful, like 60s buildings in bad state, urban spaces not well maintained. But I think that it's important to go further to the concept that we have of beautiful, and also seeing that beautifulness in other things, like the sense of belonging, the character of the places, the history that is behind every place. And that is something that we try to work with them. Like, okay, your neighborhood is not beautiful in the common way we think about beautiful things, but it has a value. It is beautiful for you because you grown here, you were here a child, you were here with your parents. So I think that probably we have in the projects, we have to give like another round to what the beautifulness means, and not related to the aesthetic part, yes, to the aesthetic part.
And I think that when the Commission developed this concept of European Bauhaus, they made a mistake with this word. So now they try to talk about beautiful and enriching to cover all the rest and make sure that it's not limited to aesthetic in the understanding. But still we have this barrier of first just considering aesthetics and then you don't relate to it in many cases.
And it's difficult to assess how people are. In Regen, we are developing trying to get to a holistic assessment framework, as we need to provide indicators for everything, of course. Environmental, we have a lot of labels, indicators. Social, it's becoming tricky, but there are methods that we can use and connect. Economic, we have life cycle costing, and data is hard to get, but there is a means. Reconciliating the three in a pure life cycle sustainability assessment approach is difficult. We see when we try to assess our intervention, we see that we will lack something probably for each of the interventions. So having the three all together. But for the beautiful, how beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's most of us come from the quantitative data, and we have to go to the qualitative data, like as people, like the perception, how they feel, how the places make them feel before and after, like that is why I think that the social science and humanities are now like in all the proposals.
Yes, they are. You're right. They are in all the proposals. I am a sociologist, so I know that very well. The point is that even for the inclusivity, it's not so easy to honestly to implement it in the project. So it is retested by the European Commission to have this SSH approach in all the proposals, but it's easier to write it down than to implement it because of the expectations, as you said before, but also because when you are on the ground, when you really work with people, with neighborhoods that have to be regenerated, because this is what you put down in the project, with the involvement of citizens living in the neighborhood, is not so easy. I mean, this is one of the words that is often used, but the implications are sometimes completely forgotten during the course of the project. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. You never get what you thought you were going to
No.
get. Like these older people, young people, kids.
Yeah, vulnerable groups as well. It's
groups,
another thing.
immigrants,
Yeah.
And you never get the people you really need.
Yesterday we were discussing with Chiara that there is also that, as Sylvain said, there are methodologies and tools that you can use for participatory approaches. But it's a local site, it's a local neighborhood, so you have to make it local with native language. So it has to be handled by the leaders of the local site, which are not sociologists and experts, and which do not necessarily feel comfortable asking this type of questions, gathering this type of qualitative data. So you have to make that chain of training to make sure that the right people with the local knowledge and language feel comfortable with the right methods to reach these people that are difficult to reach.
Yeah.
And that's something that so far we haven't really succeeded, at least in the projects that I know. Maybe you have some nice success stories on that, but it's still quite difficult, I would say.
We have gotten more information during the aperitif after the sessions than in the sessions itself. Like people doesn't want to talk, and then you have like some tapas. I don't know how to say that in English, like something to eat.
Tapas, I think it's universal.
So some tapas and even some beers, and they start talking like in a more like I don't know, informal way, and you get much more information then that in the dynamic you have prepared like with a lot of detail. It's quite frustrating, I have to say.
I think in the way now we build our projects in the future, we need to have local people responsible for the engagement. So for instance, in Regen, we have a transversal actor that defined the SSH methodologies, and in 3 of the 4 demo sites, we have consultants or people that implement it. And we see that, for instance, in Milan, we didn't have it, but they just added someone else to take care of that. So it's really required to have.
So, Imish, for each demo site, you have local experts who handle that part.
Yeah,
engagement.
Okay.
Yeah, because Chiara has some languages. I mean, languages, but also social context, to know what is the reality in the place.
That's why those Woodstock living labs are really interesting, because it's on site and there is a responsible on site for those 6 living labs. And it's really like an innovative lab where people can go talk, and it's organized in that way.
And I think for neighborhoods and the municipalities, they are more and more used to work with these profiles and external consultants. There are some more and more people on the market that we can leverage.
Please.
Yeah, Davide Madeddu from One Team. We have some partners that we work together in different projects. I have a question because last project we see there is one side the digital tools to build the participation of the people, but there is a very big gap, especially for the people that now we are looking for the last projects that are vulnerable people, that are people that are elderly or kids, is not technical people, not professional people. And the question is, as we are developing, we are a developer of digital tools in each project, and the only thing that we see the last project are virtual reality, augmented reality, or like the tables, interactive tables. But the question is, how do you fill this gap? How do you think that would be the best solution to fill this gap, to give in some way easy to use tool that also the kids, the elderly people can use to give their participation? Because it seems that is something needed to use a tool, is something that we can reach more people, but in some way is more difficult than how to build that.
Yeah, when it comes to our project in Regen, that we are currently developing the tool and we haven't tested, but we are also discussing this topic. So to develop, new solutions or to detect like what kind of issues we can face on the site. So we work with those personas from different age groups, and we gave some demos with the current version, and again last year in sustainable places and map festival. So we gathered feedback from other audience, and they were mentioning also the difficulty, for instance, to work with, let's say, senior citizens. Also, we discussed internally like how difficult it can be, because they are, even when they see a mobile phone, they are really hesitant to participate in the sessions or workshops. But as Sylvia also mentioned, we were also discussing in one demo site, for instance, when you create this more maybe friendly atmosphere, informal, they are, more, we observe the same situation. So we are thinking about, how we can engage them more. So when it comes to this tangible table, we will have a moderator. And if we organize these workshops only with the involvement of senior people, let's say, probably the moderator will be gathering their feedback and needs and then using the tool. Yeah, when it comes to children, I mean, or in general, from all age group, we see there's a lot of interest when they see mass table and the tangible objects. You know, they are very excited to explore it. But also, what actually I observed when I was giving demos, also when it comes to receiving the feedback, they are hesitant to really, use the tool. So this is something that we are currently discussing, but we haven't actually, since we are working on the stage, we didn't
I
come to
also,
a conclusion.
if I may also say something on this, and then I will give you the floor, just 1 minute. I also think that it's very important to understand the digital literacy in advance. Otherwise, you cannot really, I mean, you as a developer, you can do fancy stuff and beautiful stuff, but if you don't know who is going to use the tool and what's the digital literacy, then, I mean, the risks are too many. So you really have to understand the needs, the user requirements, and the digital literacy in advance, and to explore a bit about the people who will be involved and engaged in the pilots in the proposal phase already. I think, in my experience, this is the only way to go.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hello,
So
everyone.
we have 4 minutes left, so I will give you the floor for your question or comments. But meanwhile, think about some recommendations you would like to leave on the walls here, or some good examples or things you are proud of. And when you leave the room, you can leave us with that good material for thinking.
Recommendations there, challenges there.
No, recommendation, do's and don'ts. So do this or don't do that, okay? And over there, it's more, what are you most proud of in your project, okay? You can leave the room with your pride. Please go on. So don't hesitate. There is plenty of material over there, big ones, small ones. Please leave a trace when you leave the room. Okay. Please go on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dana, and I coordinate the 6 Innovation Hub. We also work on the creation of digital solutions and on the engagement of people. These are 2 of the main pillars that we are every day working on. And about what you were saying, it's something that we are trying to work every day in trying to match the part of the engagement and the part of the digital solutions. I just want to bring here lessons learned, which is really fresh, because last week we closed the festival that we created with the Urban project. It was here in Milano. It's related to all the concepts of the new European Bauhaus. And what we did to engage the neighborhoods and the people from the cities was to create physically a track where we provided examples, concrete examples in a square. And what we did around was to provide the digital solutions, to provide concretely the objects, but also to create performances, so artistic performances. So we had people speaking with very, very basic language that was easy to understand for kids, for people, for any kind of group of vulnerable groups, but not only. I mean, whoever was a citizen that was coming. And that helped to let them understand the basic concepts of the project, like also having a music performance with recycled instrument, or having the the headphones with a story, and having a collective performance with people doing something which was related to the topics. That was the first step. Then they went into the flow, and then we had the chance to ask them to use the digital tools. It's a step back. So first, the basis, engaging people, also with something strange for what we usually do in the project. So like artistic performances. And then ask them to use the digital tools or whatever we are creating in the project. And it was, I didn't have the time to have the brief with my consortium, but it was really effective and it worked. So we are going to propose it again.
On children, just a last comment. With the NEB Academy, we had this call for grants, and one of the projects that was granted is called City for Children. It's based in Poland, and it's training people on how to integrate children in when you create a city or you rethink a city, how you integrate children in that purpose. So perhaps that's an interesting tool to go and have a look.
Can I
Yes, please.
So regarding the digital literacy that you said and the children that you said, a best practice that I saw from a project whose name I don't remember, but I found it brilliant, is that we always want in our projects to create something new, and that has to be, similar or good for the people and user-friendly, etc. But in reality, there is a lot of digital literacy already in the children there. And what this project did was use Minecraft. So they had the children, play around and see what they would like to have using Minecraft, and they actually sort of, stylized a little bit the things and put them together and got the feedback from there. And it's very interesting because these tools, which are, if you go back to what Minecraft is computer-aided design of an incredible degree, and it's there, and it's a game. So instead of, let's say, reinventing the wheel, they went out and used something that was already very familiar to that particular segment.
Super interesting. It's really the connection between digital literacy and sometimes it's where you don't expect it to be. So very interesting. And what was exactly the objective of?
It was to make it more kid-friendly.
Okay.
There are some very interesting practices in this. They asked, for example, what would it take, another project, what would it take for you to put the phone down? And the result, which is very interesting for New European Bauhaus, is that they said, let us play around outside without you being on top of us. And there were children of 10, 11 years old that had never played without the supervision of an adult, even, let's say, at their own playground, backyard or something.
So very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were thinking about going outside yesterday.
Because the weather is so good,
brainstorming outside.
and the air quality is better.
Would be much better.
Maybe because we are in Milano, so air quality is not good.
Both outdoor and indoor.
Yes. So just to comply with the timing and let you have time for coffee break, we will close the session now. Thank you very much for your active participation. If you left your email, we will get back to you with a quick synthesis of what was discussed today. If you have 2 more minutes or even with your coffee, you can leave us some notes on recommendations or success stories if you want to. Otherwise, have a nice rest of this day and hope I can talk with some of you later on. Thank you.